So if you're an architect or an engineer, you know that building incredible things in a multi-cloud world, well, that's only half the battle, right? The other half is actually paying for it all. Today, we're going to dive right into that super important spot where architecture meets finance, and we're going to start with a question that, honestly, might keep you up at night. Seriously, just picture it for a second. You walk into work, you grab your coffee, and you pull up the monthly cloud report. And your heart just stops. The number you're looking at is double what you budgeted for. No warning, no obvious reason. What do you even do? Where do you start?
I mean, this is the absolute nightmare scenario, isn't it? For months, everything's humming along. Your spend is predictable, it's stable, and then, bam, you get hit with this massive, totally unexplained spike. Your CFO's on the phone asking questions, and you've got zero answers. It's the kind of thing that gives tech leaders serious anxiety.
Yeah, this whole experience actually has a name. It's called multi-cloud cost shock. It's that sudden, really painful moment when you realize your spending is just completely spiraled out of control. So let's unpack how this even happens, and more importantly, what you can do about it.
You know, I love this quote because it just perfectly captures the chaos. In these fast-moving multi-cloud environments, your engineers can spin up resources all over the place across different providers, and there's no single view of what it all costs. It is literally the definition of innovation without any accountability.
Look, I know it can feel pretty helpless, but it's really not. There is a way to bring some order back to all this financial chaos, a way to finally build a bridge between your brilliant engineering teams and your finance department. And that answer, it's a framework and really a cultural shift called FinOps. And trust me, it's not just another buzzword. It's a really powerful methodology that was designed specifically for this messy, variable spend world of the cloud.
Okay, now here is the most important thing to get about FinOps. It is not just some accounting tool. It's a practice. It's all about creating a culture where engineers, finance, and the business are all speaking the same language. It's about empowering engineers to make smart, cost-aware decisions without slowing them down.
And this phrase just nails it. You want the incredible agility and speed you get from the cloud, but you absolutely need the predictability and the discipline that comes from finance. FinOps is the bridge that connects those two worlds. It's as simple as that.
Okay, so FinOps sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? Well, it all starts with two really basic ideas: visibility and accountability. Because think about it, you can't control what you can't see.
The absolute bedrock, the foundation of all of FinOps, is something called tagging. It's such a simple concept, but the impact is massive. By just attaching these little labels, this metadata, to every single resource, you suddenly have a map. You can see who owns what, which project is costing the most, you know where every single dollar is going. Without tagging, you are flying completely blind.
This is the perfect way to think about it. Without tags, your cloud bill is just one giant, scary, mysterious number. But with tags, it turns into a perfectly itemized receipt. You can suddenly see, oh, we spent X on that new feature project and Y on the data team's experiment. It is a total game changer.
So once you have that visibility from tagging, then you can start creating accountability. And this usually happens in one of two ways. There's showback, which is really about visibility. You literally show a team how much their services are costing the company just to raise awareness. And then you have chargeback, which is the next level. You formally charge their department's budget for what they used. Both are incredibly powerful ways to get people thinking about efficiency.
So how does all this stuff work in the real world? Remember that nightmare bill from the beginning of our story? Let's go back to that and actually apply these FinOps principles to see how a really smart team solved that crisis.
So they followed this really clear four-step process to get from total chaos to being back in control. First, they found the clue. And because they already had a great tagging policy, they weren't just guessing. They dove into the bill and traced that huge cost spike to one single rogue service. They found the needle in the haystack in a matter of hours, not weeks. Next up, the insight. The architects jumped on that service and they figured out the root cause, an inefficient architectural choice that was made months ago. Turns out a database query was running in this super expensive, inefficient loop, just eating up resources every time it was called. Then came the fix. And this is where the architect really becomes the hero. They didn't just turn it off or blame somebody. No, they led the effort to completely re-architect it, redesigning how the data was accessed to make it cost-efficient without hurting performance. And finally, the result. The cost overrun was fixed immediately, and because the architecture was now smarter, future problems were prevented. The bill wasn't just fixed, It was actually more stable and predictable than it had ever been before.
You know, that story just perfectly illustrates this fundamental shift that's happening. As an architect, you're not just a builder of systems anymore, you are a key player in the financial strategy of your entire company. The decisions you make have a direct and often immediate impact on the bottom line.
So here's what you should really take away from all this. First, design for cost, right from day one. Treat costs like any other non-functional requirement, just like performance or security. Second, use the data you get from tagging and monitoring to make truly informed decisions. And third, collaborate. Go talk to your finance team. Understand their goals. You're partners in this, not adversaries.
And I want to leave you with this one final thought. For decades, we defined great architecture by its power, its scalability, its elegance. But in the age of the cloud, that definition, it's just incomplete. The best architecture today isn't just powerful. It's also profitable. It drives business value efficiently. So the question you have to ask is, does yours?